Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you more about bot farms, and this conversation comes out of a few different sources. The first is that I saw Oskew, who's a time and attention guy. He goes, Dwayne, check out Tails' new video, or I think it's from yesterday, talking about Splinterlands SPS staking and what it could mean for bot farms. This is a good video. He's got a ton of data. I think he verifiably establishes that at least this one major bot farm has all the SPS they need to continue operation even after SPS staking is implemented, which should mean that the bot farms aren't going anywhere even after SPS staking is implemented. But there's another conversation from a different comment from on my channel where somebody actually gave a proactive idea of what we maybe could do, and it had something to do with rentals. And then tie that to Tails, one of his thoughts on what could potentially help this bot farm issue, expressed right here, and we're going to listen to it. It's just a 10-second clip from this video. He says that the cost of cards shooting up could crush the bot farms because it would mean that they can't equip their decks to succeed and therefore can no longer extract value. Because it's okay that you have SPS, it's great that you have collection power, but if you don't have cards that allow you to win, and they have to rent those, then you can't play to win. Especially if you're striving to consolidate and fight, let's say, several thousand accounts in Diamond, you need high level cards to rent into those so that you can have that success. So that's what we're kind of focusing on. It's a bot farm issue, but specifically it's around, can the cost of rental cards shoot to a place? Is there reason to believe they might appreciate radically? And what would that do for bot farms? I think there's maybe some hope here. That's why I want to talk about it. Before I do go any further, I guess I just want to say thanks to Tails for covering this issue and for continuing to share data. I didn't know, empirically how much SPS was in the possession of some of these bot farms. And so, it does seem as though SPS staking is not going to be a silver bullet for those bot farms that have already been here and already built that bag. It's probably going to help in terms of preventing further bots from getting going, I would think, unless the existing bot farms just create more, right? It's like they've already got their foot in the door, they've already got the SPS, they've already got the CP, so they maybe can keep doing it. But if the SPS staking comes in, you have to imagine it would be a real barrier to new establishment of bot farms. So it's all part of the puzzle. It's one piece perhaps, but I think I accept what I'm hearing Tails say, which is that SPS staking will not be a silver bullet for this thing. But here, let's listen to him talk about how rental prices might be. So just about 10 seconds here. I'm going to press play now.
But because they don't own any cards, if for some reason the rental market prices were to increase significantly because they don't own any cards, then they may not be able to profitably rent cards at the gold and diamond levels to continue to farm, for future SPS and Solana reward cards if the prices get too prohibitive. And we don't yet know how the DEC season rentals or the minimum one DEC relisting or repricing fee will impact the rental market. But even bigger change that could be coming our way is land, and how land could soak up a lot of cards from the rental market, in which case rental cards would become scarcer, and thus the price of those rentals could go up and make it so that it would be prohibitive to rent a competitive gold or diamond or champion level deck to earn here for bot farms moving forward. So again, I don't think...
So I'll stop it there. And as you can see, there's just, it's speculation really, but I like this sort of speculation. There's something there. There's a conversation to be had. Is it reasonable to believe? He just said that he points out, and how could you, he points out rightly that they need the rental cards. If they're going to consolidate their cards and fight at Diamond, they can do so already with probably, a few thousand accounts, depending on how many bot farms we're talking about. And we're talking tens of thousands of dollars a month worth of extraction power. But they need those cards to get it. So without the cards, they can't do it. And so right now it's viable because card prices are super, super inexpensive. But will it be? And can we look at these two possible concerns and considerations to possibly change the viability of it? He talked about the DEC cost to relist cards into the rental market. That is potentially a factor that would impair the supply because, one, after 30 days, your cards are being removed from the market. Two, to relist, you have to pay a 1 DEC penalty or fee. And so those two things should mean that there are fewer cards on the market and fewer cards being listed onto the market, and more cards being consolidated, because people who do intend to lend out their cards don't want to rent 100 copies at 1 BCX for next to no profit. They'd rather rent one card at 100 BCX and potentially, make enough profit that they can start paying those relisting fees without a problem. And so that's the first part, but the second part being also not just how the relisting and the DEC fees are going to impact supply, but also land coming soon, and how staking into land, especially with Praetoria's Secret and what that's going to do for potentially infinite staking of cards onto your plots of land, it really could mean a drying up of supply. In addition to soulbound reward cards, which are now the main source of rewards for playing the game. You're getting these amazing cards which are being able to fight at the higher level if you put them together, but you can't trade them, rent them, borrow them, lend them, sell them. And so bot farms can't access those either. So it's really then the old supply of cards, the current, let's say the current supply of cards that is available, but that's going to dwindle for those two reasons we talked about. The DEC relisting penalties, as well as the land that's coming soon. And so I think it is conceivable to believe that the cost of rental prices will go up. But I also would say this all ties together in this big web. And I want to listen to one more short clip that I saw from Gold Matters on Twitter. Gold Matters tweeted this, and he goes, shout out to Gold Matters, amazing. He's like my favorite follow on Twitter. In last week's Splinterlands Town Hall, Matt casually threw this out, but I don't think people understood the significance. The SPS airdrop was a life-changing event for some players. If something similar is created in Land 1.5, minds will be blown. Act accordingly. And I'm gonna cue this up.
My goal overall.
I'm gonna cue this up, and we're gonna listen to this. And it's just 28 seconds. And again, he's talking about how important land is going to be for the economy of Splinterlands. And this is so important because it speaks into Tails' suggestion that possibly land might lead to a place where bots are in trouble. I would argue it might not mean the end of bots, but possibly a hibernation of bots being able to thrive while land is doing maybe Praetoria's Secret, or while land is getting geared up, while we still lack cards. But you have to remember, we're always creating new cards, new packs, and the soulbounds will eventually be transferable. So hopefully this issue can be partially solved through some of the consolidation of this moment with the land and what it's going to do to cards. But I think the conversation won't end even now. But let's listen to Matt and hear what he has to say about how impactful land is going to be.
My goal overall is that the release of land, even phase 1.5, like this just very first phase, will be sort of similar to when we did the SPS airdrop and launch, a year and a half ago or so. In that it just it greatly incentivizes everyone to get as many cards as they can and as much DEC as they can. And, hopefully it will drive similar results as we saw with the SPS release.
So it is a casual comment. Gold Matters is right about that. Hey, he just kind of says, you're going to want more DEC and cards because when land launches, it's going to be a massive deal. But and then he refers it to how SPS, when we were doing the SPS airdrop, and if it's anything like that, remember SPS went from, 1,000 of them equal. No, it was something like 1,500 of them is $1, all the way up to, I think it was they were 2 pennies each. So at the top. So you're talking 50 equals $1. And so that's the sort of magnification that happened in the moment of the SPS airdrop, because DEC was so desperately needed. And Matt is saying here, DEC will be desperately needed and the price of it will fly up. But we now know that we need to add to this picture, because I think he's right. First of all, and I want to ask you, do you think he's right? You need to think that through, because if you think Matt's right about how impactful land will be on DEC or on card holding, then it will speak into the conversation we started a moment ago with what Tails is talking about. And also what I'm always talking about, which is price appreciation around the assets, because they are limited in number and they're shrinking in number. And I think player base will grow as FOMO happens in moments like SPS airdrop or like what's being described here in land. But the other piece of the puzzle to bring to it now is a recognition that even if the pressures are the same, even if land is like equally as impactful as the SPS airdrop was, and if land precipitates like a real desperate drive to acquire DEC and cards, recognize that DEC will not reach its previous heights because of the flywheel. And so as DEC exceeds 1,000 equals $1, you're going to see people trading it, right? It's going to get into SPS. It's going to move from DEC and burn into SPS. If you could burn $1 worth of SPS and get $1.20 worth of DEC, then you would. And you would sell the DEC and you'd buy back fresh SPS. So that's how the flywheel is going to create natural market pressures that will drive DEC to rest at that $1 point. And when that happens, if he's right though, within the pressure described, you're talking about just DEC doing that, and which would be huge because DEC is at like 750 Splintoshis. And so you're talking about moving, 40% up on DEC. Yeah, DEC is at 760 Splintoshis. And if you go up from that to $1, it's about a 40% increase. And so it's a massive increase. And if that same pressure is impacting cards, are we talking about, a doubling of card prices? And then combine that with the rental market having these new, I guess, relisting fees, but also these relisting rules that kick old cards off the market and make you relist them. And then, oh man, I think this is pretty interesting. And add to that the SPS staking reward, not as a silver bullet to end existing bot farms, but as perhaps a deterrent for new bot farms. So are we creating a proper defense that will gird us against continued bot farm exploitation? Maybe not, but I'm excited to think it through. And as we finish, there's still, I need probably 5 more minutes, guys, because there's something cool here. I saw a comment from Aaron B, and he was talking he gave an idea that pertains and applies to the conversation Tails began with the issue of price appreciation on rental cards. Let's read it. Aaron goes, since the team wants to maintain a decentralized approach to this subject and does not want to create a committee of SPL members and a community of members to play whack-a-mole with bots accounts, the solution to bots has to be a number of partial solutions. I suggest the following. 1, don't allow soul-bound reward cards to count towards CP requirements. That's an interesting suggestion. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But number 2, I feel pretty strongly makes a lot of sense. Number 2, he goes, bots mostly rent cards, not own them. Then so give card owners the right to refuse service. When renting out our cards, let us place filters on who we want to rent our cards to, so we can screen out bots. That's a very interesting suggestion, and I've never heard it before. He goes, and he's got stipulations to it. Do not rent to accounts with less than X amount of SPS staked. Do not rent to accounts with 50% or more soul-bound cards with 10% increments. Do not rent to accounts with less than X amount of CP rentals and soul-bound cards excluded. Do not rent to insert the other bot farm trait here. It's very, very smart, I think. Simplistic even, but to the point. Possibly very helpful. Do not rent to the following account names. Great stuff. Then you can have a community members that maintain the database of known bots, and people can decide for themselves to copy and paste those into it or not. Very interesting, and I think it might be part of how we bring the picture together to build that defense, because it's going to require many angles of defense, not just one silver bullet. And as much hope as I take from a comment like Aaron's, because there's logic there, and there's a proactive approach to how we could begin to solve the problem that we all see. And yes, I see it. I see the bot farm problem, but I don't see a lot of constructive ideas about how we fix it. And I don't want to hear again about how KYC is going to do it, or about, what else? What else do people say? Or that Splinterlands should ban bots, because you might as well. It doesn't make sense for the reason Rob outlines. Because while this Aaron's idea is interesting, and I think it should be implemented and would be easy enough to implement if you imagine tournaments already say you need to have X amount to play. So the system knows how much SPS you have staked. It should be able to check before it completes the rental transaction with you. I think that makes sense. And this would probably be part of a solution. But Rob's right. Rob79 goes, then there will be scripts creating new accounts with new names. And again, it's a cat and mouse game. And this is the truth. This is the bottom line, guys. Whether we look at SPS staking or whether we look at rental card price appreciation, how that makes it hard for bot farms to operate, whether we look at, implementing, I guess, right of refusal for lenders of cards who rent. There's a million possible things we can do, and we probably should do a lot of these things. But the thing is, this is a war. It's not a single battle with one win and we're done. They are here. They've been here for years, and I don't see them giving up, man. It's interesting to know, though, that what Tails has equipped us with here, because it gives even more clarity around how important or how equipped they are. And so maybe we can recognize the lack of power in certain approaches, for instance, SPS staking to end existing bot farms. Nope, won't work. But like I said earlier, will it help in preventing new bot farms from getting established? I think so. So let's get going on SPS staking. Let's implement some of these strategies that Aaron suggested. Let's look forward to seeing LAM 1.5 launch and what that'll do for not only addressing bot farm issues, but just looking at a fun, exciting moment within Splinterlands economy, because I think we're going to see card price appreciation. We're going to see rental card price appreciation. We're going to see DEC shooting up to that peg and beyond. We're going to see SPS appreciating as a result of it, because we're driving in new players while excitement and FOMO is happening. I hope that's true. Do you guys think I'm right, or that there is the whole thing falling apart? Because sometimes it feels like those are the two options. Either we're going to the moon or the whole thing's falling apart. Where do you land? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you to Tails. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Oskew. And thank you to Gold Matters. Lots of great consolidation of ideas, bringing it together to create this one. And I'm going to give... I better give Tails a raffle ticket for this one. I'm also going to give Gold Matters a raffle ticket. And Aaron for the main comment. And, oh man. Rob, sorry, buddy. You're out. This is an idea that I'm glad you said it, but it's got to be Aaron's idea here. So he gets it. But there you go, guys. Thanks so much for your time and attention. I hope you have an amazing day. God bless.